Welcome to Get Connected with Christine Nagy on 106.7 Lite FM, where we connect you with interesting people who can tell us the latest on health, fitness, and happenings in our community.
Good morning and welcome to Get Connected on 106.7 Lite FM. I'm Christine Nagy, and our guests today are Joe Tavano. Joe is the author of A Dachshund's Wish, a children's book, but it's good for everybody. We'll get into it. Elizabeth O'Brien is with us, a librarian with PS 84. Elizabeth, that's in Astoria?
Right.
Okay. And also Linda Papura, who's the publisher of A Dachshund's Wish, joins us.
Yes. Good to be here.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody.
Good morning.
Joe, let's start off with you because I read the book and I absolutely fell in love with it.
Thank you.
You did everything right. It's about kids. It's about animals. It's got a great lesson, which we want to get into as well. But I'm interested to know how you came to write a children's book.
Well, you know what's interesting is that one thing I did learn in life is that every living thing has a story to tell. You just got to listen to it. And that's what this book is about. I basically observed my dachshund, Paws, over the last 15 years and just what he did and the motions he goes through and just looking at his face and being able to sort of see how he thinks about life. That's how A Dachshund's Wish came about. I mean, that's the whole story. There's not much to tell about it besides that. It's funny, I tell people, I say, I really didn't, Paws really told the story. I just wrote the book.
Oh.
Yeah.
So when you read the story about Paws, this is a real little doggy.
Yeah, he's real. He's actually, he's been with me for 15 years, and he's an older dachshund now, but he's got the life of a puppy in him yet.
Aww.
And he's always jumping around and running, and he's always interested, and he's doing better than I am.
Okay. That's good. We should bring him in here, too.
We should.
We should find out his secret, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and Elizabeth, you're working with kids every single day. You've been a librarian for how long?
I've been a librarian now for 7 years in a public school in Astoria, and it's a wonderful and diverse experience. It just allows me to work with children of all ages. And working in an elementary school library just offers you the chance to discover new books every day, and especially the one that Joe wrote, and just having him come in as a guest offers students an element to get to meet the writer and realize that there is a real dog. And children can read to animals, and even in the story, the younger sister reads to Paws, and that's I think that's touching. I think it was definitely a story that kids could relate to.
Oh yeah. So how did this book come to your attention?
Basically, we got in contact with Linda. She contacted me, and basically she sent me a copy of the book. And from there, I read the book, and I knew right away that when it had animal characters, that would be something that the students would be interested in. And pets are always a big topic. I've done a pet event where I've invited in the local veterinarian and just a dog trainer, and we just had a celebration of our animals and pets. And from the very beginning of the story, you can relate to going to the pet shop and getting your own pet. And I think when Joe came to the school, he was bombarded with stories about everybody and their dog. The group that we were working with, it all happened. I didn't even really know this too much before Joe came, that they all did have pets, and they were all relating their experience about Paws also gets a brand new bed. So we were also discussing and talking about what was the first thing you did when your dog came home to your house. So,
the joy that pets bring into children's lives and reading. And Joe, you actually went to the school and you met with the kids.
Yeah, it was out in Astoria, and it was quite an experience. The kids were amazing. They were, like I was saying earlier, I don't remember being that smart as a child. The kids today are just really, really smart, and they had such amazing questions. We got into things about creativity and computers, and next thing I know, we're talking about Photoshop. I mean, these are fourth graders. It was just it was so great to see that they're so into creativity.
They're putting me to shame, by the way.
Why?
I can barely work Photoshop. Get rid of some red eye. That's about it. But yeah, they know this stuff better than we do. But again, it's so important. I mean, you must know, Elizabeth, as a librarian, to encourage kids to read.
I think that basically just children being surrounded by great books is very important, because children come into the library and you can tell right away. I have some kindergarten children this year, and they come in and they have to examine the book before they take it out, and you can suggest sometimes 5-6 titles. No. And sometimes it's like, please take one, but I think that they eventually find the one they want, and some of them have to go through each page before they will take one, out or take it home with them. But I feel, even though we're spending like time, they're taking the right book, and they're taking one that they really want to take, and that shows like general interest.
So it's a special process.
I think every child has a unique process to find the right book, whether it's the cover, whether it's a dog on the cover. Sometimes they'll just pick up a book like Joe's because they have that dog, or they're looking for like a cookbook because they want to make something at home. So I think that's very important.
And this, by the way, the illustrations, Joe, are just beautiful.
Aren't they wonderful?
Yeah. I guess Linda, you can tell us as the publisher. Did you put Joe together with the illustrator? How does this process work?
Well, our wonderful art director suggested this artist, and she is just exquisite. She did all of the artwork in pencil. GU has been studying art since she was very young. I think she told me 6, and she has learned art, and she teaches art at some colleges, and she was connected with us and drew everything in pencil, and that's literally what we saw at the start, and it went from pencil to pretty much almost the final because she watercolored every scene by hand.
Oh, beautiful.
So it was a real work of art. She really worked to capture Paws and the emotion, and we were very, very happy.
That's one of the special things about the book that I feel is that all the illustrations are hand-drawn. It's not computer illustrated. And that makes it very special, I think. It really makes it not only a great story, but the artwork really supports it in what it is.
How did you feel when it came together? Was this how you envisioned the book?
You know what? Linda did an amazing job. Trader Dachshund did an amazing job of putting together a great group of people, and they were very magical. And it actually went beyond my expectations. When I saw the final.
I'm just wondering, how did this work out that the publishing company is Trader Dachshund and it's about a dachshund?
Well,
there you go.
I can tell you that we our first book, Julia and the Dreammaker, we had gone to some book festivals around the country. We went to a festival in New York and Baltimore, and by the time we hit Miami, it was pretty resounding. Every time people came up to our booth, Trader Dachshund just meant to be a whimsical name. And people would say, gee, where's your dachshund story? So in Miami, which was tons of dogs and in Miami and great dog lovers down there. And so we had so many people ask that when I came back to New York, I said, we really, really should have a dachshund story. And the one person I knew that had a wonderful dachshund story, and Joe, I've been asking you for a long time.
10 years she's been asking me to write this book.
I've been asking for a long time to write this story because I just loved it, But he said, I just don't have time. I'm so busy. So finally, he said, okay, I'll put it to paper for you. And we decided to publish A Dachshund's Wish. But we knew people wanted a story from us. And most people really enjoy this one. And the theme of it, I think, is a well known theme, but an important one, which is that just being yourself is the greatest adventure of all. And Paws finds that in his antics, like every dog and any breed. They're all wonderful and distinct and have, experiences, and of course Paws does too. And that's what people can relate to. So even if you don't have a dachshund, you'd probably enjoy this story.
Still love the story.
Yeah.
Paws meets some interesting characters along the way. Lots of different animals. Are these more animals from your life, Joe?
Yeah, I had a house in New Jersey, and Paws loved being in the suburbs, and just watching him out in the backyard, interacting with squirrels and different sorts of animals that were in the backyard, contributed to the creative energy to write A Dachshund's Wish. That's it. Again, he was telling me a story, and that's where that all came about. We would take him up to the park, and he would love playing with the kids, throwing a ball, and that's where the whole thing with the hands. You have to read the book to understand totally what I'm talking about. But
because Paws wants to be a little boy.
Yeah, he makes a wish. That's what his Dachshund's wish is. After living with his family for a little bit, when he gets adopted by them, he sees that he really would like to be more of a human than a dog. But like Linda says, in the end, he comes to find out. And that's one thing I love about A Dachshund's Wish is that it's about self-acceptance, really sort of looking at yourself and saying, yeah, I'm okay. I like myself, I mean, let's face it, I'm not going to be on the cover of GQ anytime soon, but, I do like the idea. I'm very comfortable with myself, and I'm pretty happy in life. And that's what Paws learns in the end. He learns that being yourself is the greatest adventure of all. And I did not write that. One of the editors wrote that.
It works out
It's
very
a great
nicely.
line, though. It's a wonderful line.
It
Yeah.
is, and
I
it's
think that's a
important
very
for kids.
important message
Yes.
for children today, because a lot of children, don't think that, or don't have the feeling of like self-acceptance. Like even very young children think they need to be on a diet. I think they're like, or they need to, they see so many like images and they think they need to be, the supermodel on the cover of like teen magazine. So I think self-acceptance is very important. And the group that Joe met with when he came was a special group, and I think the message of this book really was important for the group that he met with also.
And Joe, you're going to be doing more of these school tours, right? We're going to keep you busy.
Yeah, we have a few coming up. It's wonderful because when we went to Elizabeth School, the kids welcomed us with a big poster in the library. Welcome Joe Tavano, and two very special children who I really enjoyed interacting with Tatiana and Jonathan. And Tatiana made a little sort of Play-Doh dachshund for me, which is in my apartment as we speak. And I was very touched. They're very warm and very. They wanted the interaction. It was so important to them, and we really spoke on a one-to-one basis. It was very conversational. It wasn't like me just yapping about I'm an author and this is what it's about. It was more of asking questions and answering their questions and getting them excited about maybe in the future them being authors or doing something creative.
That's wonderful. And also the book teaches you respect for all creatures.
Yeah.
That everybody's special and everybody has a purpose.
Right.
And I like, Joe, how you kind of get into Paws' head, and he can communicate with other animals and tries to figure things out, doesn't always understand what the humans say.
Right.
And I think this is something that kids think about a lot. I mean, you wonder, like, okay, what's that little doggy thinking? What's going through his head?
Well, the interesting thing is that as you live with an animal, the longer you live with it, you actually can look in his face and see what they're thinking. Mm-hmm. When they're going to be naughty. When they want to sort of have attention. They actually do communicate with you. It's just a matter of hearing them by watching them.
Definitely.
I think that's very important because now there's like special dogs that are trained to be reading therapy dogs, and my school's also part of this program.
Really?
And a dog comes in with their owner, and the dog has passed a test to be allowed to like read one-on-one with children. And I think it's a very rewarding like experience because the dog is supposed to be a model that can't like judge the child. The child is just there to read aloud, and you as their teacher and also the owner is there to just like help them when they like stumble on a word. But they never feel like put on the spot because the dog is just like a friend, and the struggling readers can sit down next to the dog just one-on-one and have this opportunity, even if they are beginning readers or lower level readers, to just show the pictures to the dog.
What a great program.
I think that's wonderful. So children can really relate to animals, and that's why I think animal stories of any sort are successful, because it's just a genuine interest of children.
And they don't judge.
They don't judge. Mm-hmm. And that's why I wrote it through animals, because there's a lot of things I wanted to say, and it's such a non-threatening, it's such a very sort of, for children it's a very easy way for them to understand the message because it's being presented through animals, which they relate to, and it's not just me in a book talking to them saying, these are the lessons you need to know.
Right.
It's sort of Sadie and Jonathan, the characters in the book, telling them what life's about.
So wonderful. And once again, this is Get Connected on 106.7 Lite FM. I'm Christine Nagy, talking today with Joe Tavano. Joe is the author of A Dachshund's Wish. Elizabeth O'Brien is with us, a librarian with PS 84 in Astoria. And Linda Purpura, who is the publisher of A Dachshund's Wish, is also with us. And what age group would you say this book is geared towards?
This book is geared toward about age 7 to 9. It can be read independently at that age. But we've also found that younger ages, because it's a chapter book, it's a perfect chapter a night kind of book. So a 5-6-year-old, you can take a chapter and it's suspenseful as it goes. So that's kind of fun. And it was interesting. Someone who had read the book mentioned that he read it to his son around that age, and where there weren't illustrations, he was used to lots and lots of pictures, and there are pictures throughout, but it's not a picture book per se. It's a chapter book. It is 80 pages and it's 13 chapters. So he said, as he got into it, all of a sudden he was mesmerized by the tale and mesmerized by Paws' determination and all of the obstacles that he had to get through. That it didn't matter that it wasn't a picture book. that it was just the story was holding him
Yeah,
chapter
he was
by
taken up in
chapter.
that. And I think it's good for older people too, because I love the book, and I didn't have a child to read it to. I'm going to, of course, pass it along. I have nephews and my niece, and they're going to be in love with the book. But I think it's wonderful. Adults won't be bored reading it to kids.
A lot of adults who have read the book find it, just as interesting as the children they read it to, or the children that read it.
And that's a sign of a really good chapter book, that it can carry itself without nature, like illustrations, because a lot of chapter books don't have illustrations, and they need to hold it, because some get like tedious, like in the middle, because the story is like lagging. But this is an adventure. You want to know what happens, when the log is spinning around. You want to read the next part. So.
And Linda, there's also a work program, an activity program that goes with it, and a teacher's guide.
Well, we've worked hard to create some what we feel are the best collateral possible, and we produced a teacher's guide, and that teacher's guide is available for free on the internet at our website, which is www.traderdachshund.com, and I'll spell that because people often don't get that right. It's TRAITORDACHSHUND, and you can download the teacher's guide there. And we worked for several months on that with 3 teachers, and so we wanted to make sure that it would be written in a spirit and a way that it would be very, very useful in the classroom. So there are instructions, and it spells out how things can be used, but there's flexibility, so you can do what you want with it. And so that's one thing that's been really positive. We've had over 3,000 educators across the U.S. and including Canada request that from us.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
okay.
to date. So that's been lovely. And we just, in honor of Children's Book Week, which we really wanted to do up, and of course that led us to visiting Elizabeth's fabulous school, we put together fun sheets, and we worked on those for almost 6 months with the help of 2 teachers and the puppy referral coordinator, Vicki Spencer, at the Dachshund Club of America. So we have fun activities that they're just meant to be fun, and you can download those for free from our website as well, traderdachshund.com. And the fun activities are a sheet on You're the Author, and kids can fill out, who, what, where, when, why, and learn how to construct a simple story there.
Nice.
And we have a word search, because we know that's just fun to go look for words. So, but they'll be looking for words in the book like, Paws and Jimmy, who is the protagonist, and all sorts of things. Rochester, who's a terribly bad little rat in this book, but you'll have to see what he does. And then fun with numbers, which was interesting. We worked quite hard with the teachers and the puppy referral coordinator on this section. Not only do we want kids to show off their math skills and be able to do some equations, but also to understand some things. Dog is responsibility, and a dog costs quite a bit of money to have. Not tremendous amount, but there's food, and there's toys, and the water bowl, and the food bowl, and the dog bed, and little chew toy, and you need to take care of their teeth and take care of them. So we provide some facts and figures about dachshunds and dogs, and we're just trying to explain that when you get an animal, it is for the animal's life, and you really want to provide a loving home. And so just to give some sense of that to even someone like a 7 or a 9-year-old, that animals are precious, and it's really their life, to make it as lovely as you can.
That's so wonderful. And again, we'll get the website information onto 1067litefm.com to make it easy for our listeners to be able to get all of this information, because I'm sure there's teachers listening, and moms and dads and aunts and uncles, and they're going, we got to get this book, we have to get the activity book. Where's the book available, Joe?
It's actually available wherever books are sold in bookstores. It's on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble, I believe, too. So you can get it anywhere. I mean, it's a nationally published book. It goes through a distributor. It's not a self-published thing, so you should have pretty easy access to find it. And if you go into a bookstore and it's not there, just ask for it. They can order it.
And again, the book is A Dachshund's Wish. Now, Joe, I know you just love dachshunds. Do you love all animals in general, or dachshunds are the special ones?
Well, dachshunds always have a special place in my heart, but I do love all animals, and I guess that leads me to the next point. I get involved with Dachshund Rescue, which is a group. The group is called Almost Home Dachshund Rescue Society, and they are a network of volunteers who take in either whether they were abused or people just don't want them anymore. It's amazing. People take dogs, and as they get older, they don't want the responsibilities, or they may be going through a divorce, or whatever the situation is. They just decide at one point they don't want the dog anymore. And that's, it's easy to make that decision, but it's not easy for the dog at that point. What do you do? So these societies take them in, and they give them all the medical attention they need. It's all volunteer, it's all nonprofit, and the one I deal with, Rescue Dachshund, I had the privilege of designing a pin for them for their fund drives between 2004 and 2005. As a matter of fact, I have one here for you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And there you go. That's the official pin.
Oh, that's adorable.
And what they do is they only cost like $4, but all the money goes toward, when these dachshunds come in, sort of getting them the medical attention they need, if they need dental work, and then they get put in foster care homes with people temporarily, where they evaluate the dog's disposition and make sure that the dog is not going to be a problem, and then hopefully they find a family that will love them.
Oh, that's wonderful. You have to let me donate to the cause because you gave me this beautiful button.
I am not going to stop you.
Very good, because the doggies need it and the people who are taking care of them. So can we go to that website and donate?
Yes, that website is www.rescuedachshund.com. And my pin is there. Actually, there's a new pin down there for a new dog. His name is Oscar. But yes, absolutely go there, buy 1, buy 10. The money goes to a great cause. And it's very special to me. And if you get my pin, which is still available, you'll own your little piece of Joe Tavano art.
See?
There you go.
And Joe, I just want to point out again, your background is interesting because you didn't start out as a writer. You're kind of a TV guy, right?
Yeah, I work in television. I do actually mostly promos. I'm doing shows now and things like that, but that's what I do. I'm a creative director and editor, and that's what, in television. So the whole concept of writing a book is so foreign to me, but it was an amazing experience. And let me tell you something. It's not easy to write a book. It is.
Yeah, because a lot of celebrities are writing children's books. It's kind of like almost the thing to do.
Yeah, but what's interesting about it is that, after you write it, this book took 7 months of me just getting it, just writing it. But then there's a whole editing process that goes on where, you send it out to editors and they want you to change this or modify that. And it's interesting. You don't always agree with them, but you know what? In the end, they are right. That's why they're there. One of the characters, the Great May, who is this sort of mysterious creature, was originally a male when I wrote it, because I wrote him based on a tabby cat I had in West Orange. And he was just in the book because his name was Rambo. And, he was put in the book as a male. But then people were saying, it's the Great May. It's really a female name. And also, we think it would be better as a female character. And I fought. I was like, no, because I wanted it to be Rambo. But you know what? They were absolutely right. As a female character, it just works so much better in the book. And it just makes the storyline, much better.
So for people who are thinking about writing a children's book, it can be done.
It can. If I could do it, anybody can do it. Trust me.
Linda, do we just send everything to you?
No. Well, I can tell you it's, as Joe said, it's a process, and we have a lot of great people we work with at Trader Dachshund, a lot of great editors, copy editors, and others. Our art director is phenomenal, and we have a lot of people that help bring a book together. A book is really a collective effort. Certainly as it goes through the stages, and it takes a while to bring it all together. So we were pleased with the end result here.
Oh, well worth the effort, definitely. And Elizabeth, give us an idea. How are the kids into reading in general, or is it tough to get them into the library?
I think it is. Our library is on the first floor, and it's a smaller library, but I think you have to work with what you have and make it as attractive as possible, and encouraging reading in different ways. And as we were saying, just having Joe come in as a guest and talk about reading is like a first encouraging step. Having special reading days and putting books up on display and highlighting them, and just stopping with kids and talking about what their interests are and matching them to the right book is the first step.
And why is it so important for our kids to be reading?
I think it's very important. It's the basis of like everything. I don't think that you realize it because you learn to read like so young, but it's the basis of everything you do, like every day. When you just look at something, you're technically reading. Like reading is like everywhere. When you're like tasting something, when you go into a restaurant, you're looking at the menu. Mm-hmm. So it's just everywhere. And when I see children struggling with it, I have like a genuine concern because it's going to be like a struggle all throughout their life, especially when they're later in the elementary years, like, 5th grade, when children are new to the country. It's very difficult sometimes to go back and capture everything that they needed from 1st grade. And it's going to be a very hard struggle for them, I think, throughout, unless they get the basic skills that they need.
I was just going to add that one of the really nice things that Elizabeth mentioned about making a special day, that's part of what we're going to be doing with some of the new schools that we're going to be visiting. We're visiting another school up in the Bronx, and they're going to make a huge day of it, she said, and to really focus on reading and put posters up and sort of create a lot of excitement in the school itself around Joe's visit. So that should be wonderful, and we've had some other various schools ask us. So, and again, we come in with a lovely presentation. Joe is there and chatting with the kids, and I go through a quick tour of how books get put together, which is fun for the kids to see. So they see a manuscript, and then they see pencil art, and then we point out, well, gee, what looks different, when it gets laid down. Sometimes the art changes, and remember, Elizabeth, they were all with their hands up. Oh, I see the blanket painting, is different. And
it was a wonderful experience because also, like, originally they had done, you were talking about the bird. When you were there's a bird in the story, and originally it wasn't drawn as like a regular everyday bird. It was drawn, I think, as like a turkey, because
that's right.
Didn't at first realize that they wanted a bird. And when the kids see that, well, the first step, it was something else. And I think even Joe before was talking about the editing process. It's very important. Children always think they have it right the first time. They always are frustrated when they sometimes have to make corrections. But I think it's very important when someone comes in and says, well, it took 6 to 7 months to make one book. It just didn't take, one day
so they
to make
understand it doesn't happen overnight.
And that was just the writing part. And then, of course, there's the art and the assembly, and, of course, getting it through to our distributor, and it goes through their sales force and then out to stores. And it's a lengthy process, over a year to a year and a little bit, something like that. But the kids were really fun in terms of seeing everything and how it came together. And we showed them galleys, and this was the first one we did, and it was a little spiral bound thing just for our distributor, for their sales force. And then we made another galley that went to reviewers, and they were like, I see this book has a letter at the back, and then the final book doesn't. So we were able to hand things out, and they could see things, and so that was fun for them, that we could make it tactical too.
Nice. And then, Joe, if we want you to come to our school, how do we make that happen?
Actually, it's all through Trader Dachshund. You have to talk with them.
We have to go through Linda.
Yeah, we have to go through Linda for that.
Well, we have a bunch of schools so far, and we're a little bit booked, but of course we are, if people email us, it's something, we'll consider as we move forth. But we had such an overwhelming reply. Elizabeth had noted how much she enjoyed our visit, and we had a bunch of schools ask us. So we're trying to work through those, and we will work through them in the new year.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, I think people overestimate that New York is like such a big city, and that New York City public school children have access to all these like wonderful resources. And sometimes schools don't, not many, of course there's always the exception, but not many New York City public schools can fund like a writer visit, because some writers have like a huge fee they come with, and they just come, for a couple of hours. So Joe offered something that's a really great opportunity, and he wanted to do it because generally he wanted to come and talk about his book, and he didn't ask for anything in return. He just wanted to
encourage reading. That's what it's all about.
Encourage reading, and I think that's a very important and rewarding message for children.
And it was nice timing because of Children's Book Week, and we really wanted to. We had been thinking Children's Book Week, believe it or not, back in June, that we were going to do, regardless of if we got connected with the school or not, we were going to do something special. And these fun activities were developed specifically with that week in mind, so that even though we're a very small publisher, certainly we are, we still wanted to make a small contribution by the fun sheets. At least we could put those up, and folks who did buy the book, this would extend it. It would be fun. You could do it with your kids. And so our intentions were kind of set early on.
Okay, well, it's wonderful. Joe, thank you again. I'm sorry we're out of time.
Oh.
Thank you for a beautiful book, A Dachshund's Wish. It's available in stores and, as you said, online. We'll put all the website information up on 1067litefm.com so we can be in touch with all of you and maybe get Joe to come to our school.
Of course.
And Elizabeth, Joe, and Linda, thank you so much for being a part of Get Connected.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Get Connected on 106.7 Lite FM. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect the views of our station. For more information or to be a guest on Get Connected, please check our website at 1067litefm.com. See you next week.